What's up, Digidestins? This is Kyle D, better known as Ridemyavatar, and today I have a question for you. Was the restriction list or ban list really that good? So let's dive into it. So let's start this off. We know what the restriction list was. They banned Mega Digimon Fusion for reasons that Susanoo is a little broken with it. I understand that, and this didn't affect the Japanese meta until like BT-08, when everybody started realizing Mega Fusion was just so nuts with Susanoo. Originally in BT-07, it wasn't. So it was going to become this dominating force, and they wanted to preemptively strike it, which I get what they were trying to do. It fixes a lot of issues, making those strong yellow hybrid. Having their game finisher for one is huge, even in the early game. Then you have like reinforced memory boost getting restricted because, I mean, for even future decks, it's going to make it a lot more difficult to play around, because that gain 3 memory, you can have an out so easily and then just gain that 3 memory back, even if it costs you 5. Now, if they have Madoki Betamons or anything like that, Gazimons out, you're just popping it, and then you can just reuse your reinforced memory boost so easily. And I got where it's coming from. Yes, I understand it's for D-Reaper decks and non-yellow multicolor control. They were trying to just weaken it down, and I get it. And then Ice Wall getting hit because they were just spamming it turn after turn, and that's not creating a fun environment. It becomes a very heavy lock style, and especially if you would just slam down Ice Wall once, twice, boom. Now your opponent is giving you one swing and they're instantly giving you like 4 to 5 memory. It just wasn't a very healthy environment, and I get it. And that's really what we have for the restrictions with the Eismons and the hidden potentials. I get where they're coming from. These restrictions are really good, but let's even go into it. We have the recent Digifest. So we kind of know that blue hybrid was one of those strong decks. We know that yellow purple hybrid was another strong deck. We also know that Lilith Loop was another strong deck going into it, but it seems like blue still very much dominates the environment. I mean, even with the one Ice Wall, we can take in looks real quick at anything like this, and it's very interesting to me. See, they just moved into 4 Hammer Spark territory with Ice Wall. It makes a lot of sense what they're trying to do, and I possibly agree with this. It just, now you're dealing with a very strong stun that most players don't know how to completely counteract it, and I think that's where it's coming down to. I get that we have a format where a lot of our decks are build hybrid wide board. You're playing a little bit slower. You don't see all your tamer pieces. You might not get the momentum you need. Tommy is a very powerful, oppressive card. A lot of people said Tommy should have been hit, and that is probably a good assumption. That some players even say that it's Tommy needs to be at 1 and Ice Wall could have stayed at 4, and they wouldn't have changed anything in the meta. And it's like, no, I think Ice Wall is a good hit. I think Tommy isn't too much of a problem. Yes, this freezing ability is huge, but there's always some sort of control version. Yes, there is way too many blues for it to justify, but as some people said, maybe blue hybrid is kind of more people's go-to. Like, I mean, eight of your top 16 was blue hybrid. I mean, we do have a little bit of variety that made the top. We had Lilithmon Loop, X Antibody, Jessmon, Red Green Hybrid, and Cherubi make top 16, or even close to top 8. I mean, that's pretty good for them, and that's really solid, even in a blue heavy dominant meta that a lot of players might not be able to play around at first. I mean, even if you type in Digifest, we can see with first place, we have a Lilithmon deck, but then we get first place blue hybrid. I know there's quite a few more blue hybrid first places that I've saw, especially just going into the format, that you'll see first place even with just other local tournaments and stuff like that, just going on and on. Top 4 is just a bunch of blue. You see occasionally like Lord Nightmon and stuff like that really shine a little bit brighter just to get there. And I mean, the restriction list might have helped enough where it might justify it, but let's go into the Japanese format. So right around here, I would say, right around here, right before October 31st, where they kind of had access to the trial decks, Blue Hybrid kind of really took up a lot of the slots. There's a huge amount of blue in Japan because of the fact of the ice walls. If we just click on any of these lists, you're going to see right off the bat, nope, that's just a Magna. Now that ruined everything. Well, that slapped me in the face. So you don't assume, boys and girls, that's how we get in trouble. Let's see. Let's go. Let's go Azulamon, maybe? This one. 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 Let's get a bunch of decks going, shall we? Let's see. Howling, no ice wall there. We have no ice wall here. Okay. Ice wall at 2 with 3 Hammer Sparks for this hybrid. So, I mean, it's there. We have 4 ice wall here with Analog Youth and Koji. I see where they were going with that. 4 ice wall to spam ability. 4 ice wall yet again. Let's go. 2 ice wall here. Then we have 4 ice wall here, 2 Hammer Sparks. We have another 3 ice walls. 3 ice walls. And then another 2 ice walls. So they were always playing it above on their side, and we are restricted to 1. But as you could see, ice wall was always being played after a certain point. The earlier lists kind of substituted out to try to get into full combos and see if they really needed ice wall, but then all of a sudden the list adapted so many ice walls that it just became the social norm. It's very interesting to see with that, right? I mean, let's even go into our meta here. Our meta is already filling with Blue Hybrid. We had it in March. I mean, seriously, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, well, 20, 21, 22 first place. Well, mixture of first to second to third it took up. That's huge numbers for blue to be dominating this strong. Yes, blue is a very powerful deck, but this one is Magna Guru, not straight up blue hybrid stun. So, I mean, with the ice wall restricted, it made it a little more fair in my opinion, but it's very interesting to me. So let's even take a look at yellow hybrid itself. I mean, we're going to go right about here. So right about here is where it stops. So they don't have the trial deck at this point. So you're just taking a look at all this fun stuff here. A lot of yellow, purple hybrids were kind of starting to dominate and be very oppressive because they had resources that most decks didn't. I mean, let's take a look here. Reinforced memory boost at 3. I mean, being able to cycle, add in extra memory, and then play out wider, you were playing like a stronger version, a very OTK powerhouse that most decks didn't have a recovery option, because you would just build up reinforced memory boost and then go shine, wipe board. Then if they had Gazis or anything that would help prevent the shine's turn, you were just gonna at least pop them off the board and then pop your reinforced memory boost and just go from there. There's just a lot of things that this deck can do, and your opponents really just got to deal with it. I mean, there's not many times I say this, but Reinforced was a good hit because just oppressive kind of card that just made the deck very, very difficult to play around. I mean, you can't play around Reinforced Memory Boost at times. Even at best, you put purple cards in, it's just not going to change much. And if you look at it, Mega Digimon Fusion wasn't really used because no one really... It wasn't until after the fact when we were in BT-8 where everybody just slammed in the Mega Digimon Fusions. I promise you that. I mean, if you look at all these cards and decks, it does change up the meta a bit. And like, even let's take a look at Cherubimon. We had 1, 2, let's see, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 roughly Cherubimons that were being played in the format. Blue really shut down Cherubimon hard because if you spam down enough ice walls, their push turns weren't mattering. And that was huge. But if we take a look at even purple yellow hybrids, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Cherubimon only at the start of this format. I mean, this is week 3, going on to week 4, that we have Cherubimon really doing quite well, and I'm very impressed all in all. I mean, what do you guys think with this? I mean, Cherubimon really wouldn't have stand much chance in this format if it wasn't for the fact of the restriction of Ice Wall, because Ice Wall spamming it turn after turn, you couldn't build wide boards enough because you were just swinging in, losing resources too quickly. So just keep that in mind. Like, there are times where you're just like, how are we going to handle this? Then we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, yellow, purple hybrids. I mean, that's kind of interesting to see that it is slowly knocked down a bit because of the loss of that reinforced memory boost of adding a card to hand, putting 1 to security, and having 3 memory to play with the following turn. That means you had access to Jet Sylphie, and then going into a full Shine Greymon turn. Or even better yet, you would be able to pop it and get into Suzanomon very easily just because you had enough memory from earlier play turns, and you would just turbo into it and then just clear out for game. I kind of see where they went with it, and I think the restriction really helped with alleviating some of yellow purple's dominancy that we were going to see, because I think making players forced to pass turn if they go into their Suzanomon is kind of better than having them have a Suzanomon the same turn, swinging in, and then winning game because they just go in the hybrid, boom, done. I think restrictively, it made deck crafting a little bit better. I think the restrictions helped in a way that made it so that the decks, yes, they are still topping. We have plenty of yellow purples, we have plenty of blues, but I feel like other decks now are a little bit better than purple yellow. So I mean, they aren't on a weird clock against it now. I feel like there are decks that are just able to compete. There's just better options to go for, and it just widened the board's playing field. I mean, even X Antibodies really good. Red Hybrid's really good. Lilith Loop is still very functional and very powerful. I mean, there are plenty of things. Red-Green Hybrid, which wasn't really seeing much play. I mean, give out a shout out to Hogan. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce it, but Zero's ability to show off this list. I mean, a lot of players jumped onto Christmas hybrid, and it's really showing a lot of progress. I mean, there are just ways deck building created, and with the restriction, like even Lord Nightmon, even though it has a few tops, it's seeing play because Ice Wall isn't just slam down 2 turns in a row against it, and they're just passing turn, and that's just huge against them. So it's like now they have a shot. One Ice Wall is a very deterring card at a well time, but sometimes games you won't see the Ice Wall. You see Ice Wall, it's very interesting at least. So guys, what did you think about the restriction ban list? Was it actually worth it? Or was it just another faux pas that we could have just played without these restrictions and just gone all out? So let me know down in the comments, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace!